Hello everyone, it's your favorite creep, and it's time for a spooky custom. This is in collaboration with DollyDreamsDolls. I have known Bree for exactly a year now. Some of you may remember the Halloween collab from last year when I made Marionette. Bree was also involved in that collab, and it's crazy to think how far we've come since then. So by the time I approached Bree with this collaboration, we both already had ideas. I wanted to make a spider, and she wanted to make a vampire/demon. In the end, we decided to combine these ideas. So with that, I started researching. I was wondering if there really was a spider vampire. There's not a spider vampire legend of any kind that I could find, but there is a vampire spider. This is a type of jumping spider that does in fact go for human blood, but they only get it by eating mosquitoes, the types of mosquitoes that carry malaria.
Be nice to spiders! They're good little beans. Look at his sparkly eyes. He just wants to hug you. And his little hairy toes. Just give him a chance. He just wants to be loved.
I used these spiders' colors as my palette for this custom. These spiders also come in green, but the only pictures I could find of the green ones were super creepy, and I didn't really want to freak anyone out, because not everyone is as fond of spiders as I am. As for the demon part, I kinda messed up with this. I researched symbols for demons and vampires, and I found an article that said that this was the symbol for a classification of a type of demon, but later, when I looked into this further, this is clearly the astrological sign for Neptune, and by the time I realized this mistake, it was too late. I will illuminate on this more later. For her vampiric inspiration, I chose to show that in her clothes and face-up, but you're not allowed to see those yet. How am I going to make her into a spider?
Well, I'll tell ya.
An artist I follow did a really cool thing a while ago,
And it inspired me so much that I almost passed away.
Kiki does some amazing things, and I really, really recommend that you follow her page, because if you don't, I will, well, never mind. This inspiration came from Kiki, and it's such a great idea. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it. Anyway, I'm gonna put a torso on top of an umbrella, and there's nothing you can do about it. So ha! So first I chose a body to work on. And this particular body was at one point a Laguna Blue. I don't exactly know what version, but I tried to pick one that had damaged legs in some way, and she was my best pick. Then I chose a face. I wanted something interesting to work on, so I chose this Create a Monster cat head. I like the weird, unique upper lip that's really cat-like and strange. I figured I could use it to my advantage. And use it to my advantage I did. You'll see in a minute. And for my next step, I begin sawing off her legs. I'm really sorry. It's better in the long run, I promise. It'll be worth it later. Also be careful with saws. They're not friendly to your fingers. They like to chomp them and make them bleed profusely. I soften Laguna's vinyl head in hot water and pull it off. Then I clip the neck peg and put the weird cat head on. I changed the color of her head from a blush pink to a dusty red tone, with soft pastels and Mr. Super Clear. I layered on gray and red in between each MSC coat, and it took a lot of layers, but I did end up with the red I wanted. Remember this little guy? Remember the red on his face? That's what I was trying to recreate. Then, to add a little bit of texture, I went in with white, yellow, green, red, and black Prismacolor watercolor pencils on the forehead, cheeks, and chin. For her eyes, at first I wanted beady, shiny red and black eyes, like, you know, a spider, but I didn't like it, it just wasn't working, so I changed them to more slitted cat-like eyes. I also gave her squinty eyes, since, you know, she's probably grown up in caves or whatever. I gave her white web-like eyebrows, because spider. And for her vampiric attributes, I chose to give her some extra teeth, because vampires have fangs. I gave her a few sets of teeth, but it looked pretty unnatural and kind of Pennywise, so I wasn't into it. I wasn't feeling it. So I took off all of them but 4 and sculpted spider fangs over her mouth instead. And in case you're wondering, I used epoxy sculpt. I paint her fangs, and then her face-up is done. For her hair, I've always wanted to make dreads for a custom before, and an OOAK artist I follow a long time ago makes fantastic dreads, so I figured I should give it a try finally. I start by combing out yarn wefts. I cut out one and separate it into 2 halves. Then I begin a technique called wet felting. I roll the yarn in between my hands, underneath the water with soap. This tangles the fibers together in a tight coil. It took me about 8 hours to get half of the dreads I needed, and it absolutely destroyed my hands, but it worked out pretty well. I think if I do this again, I'll probably try the more standard technique of felting, but I think this worked pretty okay for a first try. I glue them on one by one in a direction that would aid in me hiding that this is, in fact, not a reroute, because I am a faker and a cheat. Now let's start on the umbrella. I got one of those collapsible umbrellas that your grandma keeps in her purse from the local thrift store. I took off the screen and I cut off the extra umbrella-y bits, and then I sat there and played with it, trying to decide how to engineer the attachment and still make it look like legs. I cut out the extra handle and glue the folding mechanism in place. I really wanted the mechanism to still be present for storage purposes, obviously, but the legs wouldn't stay outright. I wanted the connection from her torso to the umbrella to be ball jointed, so I extended a type of circular shell from her hips, and I sculpted out a ball joint out of polymer clay for her extension to sit on. The clay has a hole going from the top and going out from the sides on 2 places. Then I drilled a hole through her torso and glued a wire rod through it. This way, I can run an elastic band around the wire on the inside of her torso and through the hole in the top of the ball joint. The elastic strings separate in the middle and out through the two sides. Then I tied the two ends under the joints of the umbrella legs. The articulation isn't super smooth, even though I sanded everything down as much as I could to make it fit in place, but it holds pretty well. And for a first try at stringing joints together, I don't think it's too bad. I made her a cloak with a spiderweb pattern sewn into the back of it. I made a wraparound top and a kind of leaf-shaped pleated skirt to hide the joint because, let's face it, spider girls with big old joints aren't attractive. I dry brushed gold and red onto both of them. And, so this right here, this is where my mistake comes into play. I wanted runes or demonic script of some kind written somewhere on her, and I couldn't find anything simple or small enough until I read this article somewhere that this was the symbol for a type of demon. But clearly they didn't check their sources, and neither did I, so she ended up with the symbol for Neptune on her forehead. This is why face tattoos are never a good idea. The only thing that I could find that was similar to this symbol was this image, but I have no idea what any of these symbols are for. I don't know what I did, but it was bad. It was very bad. It turned out pretty, though. Look at it. It looks nice. I only wanted one accessory, and I wanted it to be minimal. I sculpted a moon out of epoxy sculpt a long time ago when I was making Bayonetta, but I never ended up using it because it was too big. I painted it a red gold color, and I chose a moon because it was once believed that a blood moon was caused by vampires. I'll link an accurate article on this legend in the description. And do you know what I painted on the moon? That's right! The freaking symbol of Neptune! Like the idiot that I am! Why did I not? Why? What happened? What happened? I think I'm having a stroke. Neptune, and it just, I didn't check the source, I didn't look it up again before I painted it permanently on her body, and it's so sad, it's just so sad, I can't do it, it's just too much, I can't do it, I can't do it. It's ugly. So I was having trouble with her balancing on her legs, so I tried to bend the legs down for some extra support, but I totally broke it in half, like a pro, like the type of person that doesn't research their symbols well enough and ends up with the astrological sign of Neptune on. I figured I had to make the rest of them match, so I broke all 8 of them so that I could adjust them together. And I put them all together again with epoxy sculpt. I didn't want the epoxy to be showing, so I glued on brown fur to conceal my mistakes. Too bad I can't glue on brown fur over the frickin' astrological sign of Neptune. Too bad about that. And now I think the legs look a lot more natural because just, I don't know, spiders have hairy legs and they look kind of segmented now, so, you know, happy accidents. And with that, she's done. She's super weird, but I'm really happy with how she turned out. And she's also super hard to photograph, by the way. I decided to name her Eilif Kyron. Eilif means immortal, and Kyron means little dark one. I thought it was funny. And here's what Bree made for the collab. It's so interesting how this combination of concepts manifests in the brains of creative human beings. Our creations are so different from each other, but they're both so great, and it was so much fun, and thank you so much for collabing with me. This was a lot of fun, and I'm really, really glad to have supportive artists in my life. It's really nice to talk to other people who partake in this weird hobby. Be sure to check out Bree's channel too, and I'll have all of her links in the description, as well as the video to her custom up on her channel. Make sure you check out all of DollyDreamsDolls' accounts. She's incredible. Thank you all for watching, and make sure to remember that you are loved. I hope you all have a lovely Halloween. Stay safe. Bye! I changed the color of... Oh, that was a good one. That was a good voice crack, if I do say so myself. I layered on Gred. That's not a color. Then I went in with white, yellow, green, red, and brack. Again, not a color. There's a silverfish on my floor. Hello, you're so pretty. I got distracted.